Hello and welcome to Quartzlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode, the little Daihatsu Charade. Hello and welcome back. And Quartzlight, if you don't know, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, and sometimes beyond that as well. So if you're interested in car brochures and cars in general, please consider subscribing. So yeah, today we're looking at the little Daihatsu Charade. Now we've looked at quite a few little Daihatsus recently. Quite a few people says, hey, do you remember the Charade, particularly the GTti, and on the cover is the GTti. So I thought it'd be interesting to put this up because, like I say, I try and do what people want to see on the channel as much as possible anyway. I obviously don't have every brochure that people ask for, but I try and accommodate the best I can, of course. Now I couldn't see that there was actually a date on this brochure. I had a quick flick through, but if we do see the date, then we'll pick up on that as we go along. But this is like a third generation, so kind of like late 80s, could be an 87. Maybe late 80s, let's say that for now. Interesting though, it does show the GTti on the front cover, and it does fold out, kind of like the back is also part of it, and then there's a flap. Anyway, let's open the brochure up just to see this car to start with. So we got like the front and the back cover there, and it does fold out one more time actually. And there we go. Interesting styling actually on these Charades, you know, with this like half sort of a wheel arch, kind of like straightened out, maybe a bit more aerodynamics. But I used to love when cars used to really promote what they were, put all the information on there as much as they can. Let's just zoom in on that actually. So there you go, GTti, twin cam, 12 valve, turbo. You know, really promoting and really telling you what you've got there. You know, who wouldn't want to show that off? 12 valve isn't really anything particularly special, but you know, throw all that information on there. And this one's shown in white, obviously. White seems to be very popular on these GTti's actually. I think all the ones that I saw were always in white. Maybe a red one, but generally I think white seems to be the popular colour for the GTti. Great thing about this, you know, hot hatch era, but an inexpensive hot hatch, and that's what people wanted, something that they can actually afford to buy. A tiny little engine, 993cc, 3-cylinder engine on these, 100 horsepower I think, and I do believe at the time these were probably the most powerful 1 litre cars, particularly sold in the UK anyway, as I remember. Maybe not quote me on that, but I'm kind of like thinking it was. Anyway, let's fold the brochure back and have a look at the rest of the range. Say we're looking at the rest of the range, first cover again promoting that GTti, really, you know, saying this is what it's all about. But they weren't just the GTti, they were very average models as well. It starts at the top by saying 5 best small cars in the world. We'll jot on, sorry, we're not going to jot on anything, we're going to move the camera closer to the top there, read a bit of that introduction. So it starts by saying, introducing the new Charade, a complete family of small cars. It says new, so maybe this is an 87 brochure. Like I said, not confirmed with an actual date. Since its birth in 77, Charade popularity has continued to grow, with powerful and economical engines, compact dimensions, and a comfortable, roomy interior. It established a new standard of small car technology. Standard quickly recognised when it was voted Japanese Car of the Year 1978. A much more boxier car back then though. Now the leadership is extended by a third generation of Charades, larger and more advanced, with still more style, more space and higher standards of comfort and equipment. Inheriting all the existing Charade virtues, the new car adds some fresh, excitement of its own, with class-leading aerodynamics, new suspension, a range of 4 economical and powerful engines, and a level of quality rarely expected or achieved in this car, or in this class of car. And then the next page is entitled Meet the Family, where it shows us the full 5 different models in this Charade range. Let's just zoom in a little bit. So we've got this Charade GTti, although equally as interesting, I think, this little diesel turbo model. Looks at the back there, we've got something called a CX Auto. This funny little one, again it's showing a little turbo badge on it. I'm presuming that's another turbo diesel though. And there's like your very sort of standard model, just a CX manual. So it starts by giving a little paragraph on the GTti, saying it's got a superb CD figure of only 0.32, leading its rivals by a comfortable margin. Other models in the range demonstrate a drag coefficient of 0.34. So interesting, they managed to reduce that CD figure by a little bit for that GTti model. So it then starts introducing the rest of the range. It's telling us about a prize-leading Charade CS. Now, none of these actual images are showing the CS version. Obviously, a very stripped-down version that the brochure don't like to show you. It's only showing the CX manual, which is actually one model up. But I presume you can get the CS as a CS manual and the CX Auto, etc, etc, but it is only showing the CX models for those base models. So it's telling us the price leading CS is a car for all occasions. It has the same advanced 3-cylinder engine as the high-spec CX. It makes the most of the space-saving virtues of front-wheel drive to become a small car with a strong blend of performance and economy and surprising roominess. And then we got that CX automatic, obviously if you prefer 3-speed auto. And the turbo diesel models, telling us it combines the best of 2 worlds. With the power of the turbocharger, it still returns the economy of the diesel. And it starts talking about the petrol turbo. So maybe one is a diesel turbo, maybe one of them is a petrol turbo. We'll have to learn a bit more about that later on. And then of course there is that GTti showing 99 bhp. A lot of people say 100 bhp, but there we go. Maybe it's been more honest in the brochure there. So yes, diesel turbo in the foreground. At the back though, even though it's got the same red turbo badge, which is a little bit confusing, it looks like that one in the back there is actually a petrol turbo. So that's interesting. So we'll have to learn about that in a bit. But we'll turn the page and we'll continue with the brochure. So as you can see, this brochure is a huge brochure, isn't it? Now it's going to introduce every single model, starting with this base model, the Charade CX manual. Very wordy, I'm not going to pick it all out, but we'll pick out some key points for each model, I think. So I think this is an interesting point. It says Daihatsu established leadership in the technology of small engines is clearly evident. The CX is a superb 1-litre power plant with overhead camshaft and electronic ignition. This smooth and free revving gem of an engine has been proven in the tough arena of international competition, scoring class wins on the 1979 Monte Carlo Rally and 3 consecutive East African Safari rallies. And then it goes on to talk about this particular model, saying it's good for economy, returning 67 miles per gallon at a constant 56. That is very impressive, isn't it? You think, why would you need the diesels if it's doing that good? So that's pretty impressive. Goes on to tell us, obviously, it's got disc rear drum setup. And then it starts talking about some of the equipment, and it's very well equipped for what it is. Although bear in mind, this is the CX, so one model up. CS is the base model, but like I say, they've omitted to tell us too much about that because it's probably real poverty spec. But anyway, still good. Charade's aero comfort and refinement, full instrumentation include rev counter, electrically operated door mirrors, remote hatch, fuel cap release, lights on warning buzzer, rear inertia reel seat belts, Also a stereo radio cassette player, and looks like you've got an option for a tilt and slide glass sunroof as well. Although of course in the introduction it talks about the CS model, but it hasn't really featured or showed us any pictures of the CS. CX a little bit higher specs, and of course there was the manual and the automatic. The next page shows the CX automatic, obviously the same vehicle we just looked at, but the automatic option. Really it's very similar, it's just telling us this is doing 54.3 miles per gallon at a steady 56 miles per hour, so as you would expect, not quite as much miles per gallon. Little tiny little hatchback, not much room in there I would imagine, but for a city car, not too bad overall I would say. And of course you can fold the seats down as well to get a bit more space. Anyway, let's move on to the next car in the range. And the next car in the range is the diesel turbo. Again, not a one I really remember too much about. So this little car, at a time really the 80s, were very much in Europe as a whole. Diesel were very much at the forefront, although really I'm not entirely convinced you needed a diesel because you're getting such good fuel economy on the petrol, but certainly it was extremely good. 78.5 miles per gallon at a constant 56, so possibly worth it if you're doing lots of miles, but would you really want to do lots of miles in this car? I'm not really sure. Anyway, let's just look at the back and see how this one is badged. There we go, so still that CX badge to show that probably the same trim as the previous two models, and then that diesel turbo badge there as well. And then we get this. I would say it's probably the rarest one in the range, because like I said, I don't remember the petrol turbo. You almost think what's the point of it when you've got that GTti version, but there it is, petrol turbo. Let's read a bit about this because this is a little bit unusual. With all the benefits of the features, all the style and space of the rest of the range, the addition of a lightweight and ultra compact turbocharger to the advanced petrol engine makes the Charade a positive credit to the family. Having the smallest turbocharger production engine available in the UK means it has to be distinctive. And of course it is. The low mass turbo designed to give fast reaction and response to throttle input, making it a joy to drive. And with plenty of torque available throughout the rev range, it's flexible and easy to drive in the heaviest of traffic. I know it's not blisteringly fast, but it is a little 1 litre engine, so it's not bad. 0 to 60, 10.3 seconds, still getting 62.8 miles per gallon at a constant 56. So telling us it's the most economical turbocharged petrol car in the UK. I wonder how many of these they actually sold, because I don't remember them, but then again it looks very bland and ordinary apart from that red turbo badge. You would miss it, and I think that's what I particularly like about this petrol turbo actually. It's not as showy as the GTti, but it sounds like a fun little car nevertheless. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting model. I wonder if there's any of them still left on UK roads. And I know I always say this, but I don't think Daihatsu's had the best rust proofing out there at the time. But then people come back and say, oh, mine lasted really well, it didn't get any rust on at all, so who knows, maybe I am wrong. But I don't think there's that many of these older Daihatsus still around today. And then the Daihatsu Charade GTti. I generally think these Charades are very much a forgotten car, apart from the GTti. I think that's the one you remember and one you think of when you think about these little Charades. Like I say, I believe this is the most powerful 1 litre car at the time. Let's read a bit of the text and learn a bit about it. So the turbocharged GTti is a brand new addition to the Charade range and packs plenty of surprises. To start with, it's the fastest 1 litre turbocharged car in the world. Oh, there you go. It's the fastest 1 litre turbocharged car in the world. So that's interesting because, you know, Japan had some pretty speedy little small engine cars. Calling on all the skills in the technology of small engines massed over the years, the Daihatsu engineers set out to make the GTti an outstanding performer by any standards. The engine they developed is a masterpiece, an immediately responsive turbocharged and intercooled twin cam with 4 valves per cylinder and electric fuel injection. The result is power, no less than 101 PS, a world's first for an engine of this size, and it's achieved at a heady 6500 RPM, letting you know that this car likes to be worked hard. However, maximum torque, a very useful 96 foot-pounds, is developed much lower down at 3500 RPM, meaning that GTti has plenty of low down pull for about town and is surprisingly easy to drive in traffic. And don't forget, these were pretty light cars, so I'm sure they were a lot of fun. With the virtues of the family built in, this 3-door hatch has the ability to turn heads with good looks and an amazing turn of speed, reaching up to a maximum of 115 miles per hour. You can accelerate 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds. Even thinking today, I think that's a fast car for a 1 litre, but late 80s, that's pretty quick, isn't it? Even when you don't think it's got a 1 litre engine. With power and performance like this, the GTti can outclass some very impressive competition. But it's also telling you that it's good on fuel as well. I'm sure not when you're doing 7.7 seconds 0 to 60 times, but drive it sensibly, 54.3 miles per gallon. The sports tuned suspension is McPherson struts all round, and with low profile tyres, it's as fast on the road as it is on paper. So I think that's a pretty impressive little car for what it is. Like I say, an affordable hot hatch. I think, any teen would love to get their hands on something like this at the time. Little bit of an interior shot showing practical too, folding down that rear seat, and then a little bit of an interior. Looks extremely plasticky, really overall, doesn't it? But remember, this is a cheap, economical city car after all. We also get a dash shot as well. That little stereo radio cassette player looks quite nice, doesn't it? Rev counter. This is going to be the highest spec one, the CX automatic by the looks of it. Just about make out the little choke as well. Little manual choke button or pull out. So there we go, the little Daihatsu Charade. Hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. Certainly reminded me of these cars, and particularly those GTTIs. I saw a few of them running around for sure. They were quite popular and certainly the standout of the range back then, but I think that turbo petrol is an interesting little car that you kind of missed. Thank you so much for watching today. If you've got any comments or remember these cars, please do jot it in the comment section. Always enjoy reading those, and if you've not liked or subscribed, please do so, because that really helps the channel. So thank you for watching. Please come back soon and take care. All the best and goodbye.